Red said investigators believe Alu was killed by a man who was apparently part of the demonstration's peacekeeping team. He hit Alu as he fired 3 shots at Gamboa, who Red said was running into the crowd of protesters just before 8 p.m. with a rifle drawn. Fuck. Officers found Gamboa minutes after the shooting crouching in a group of people near 100 South and 200 East and arrested him. He was treated at a hospital for a minor gunshot wound before he was booked into jail. While police say Gamboa didn't fire a shot, an officer wrote in a probable cause statement that the 24-year-old was knowingly engaged in conduct that created a grave risk of death to another individual and thereby caused the death of the other individual. That kind of makes me angry. That kind of makes me unreasonably angry. That makes me unreasonably angry. To be like he was engaged in like in a petty argument with somebody, or was trying to like probably brandished his gun or like tried engaging in an altercation with an individual, pussied the fuck out, ran away, and then got somebody shot. That fucking sucks. Police initially detained the alleged shooter and another man, both men wearing the neon high-visibility vest commonly worn by protest safety organizers, who'd confronted Gamboa. Though neither were arrested and both were let go. Red said they were cooperating with police investigation.
Our victim was not the intended target, but rather an innocent bystander participant.
The victim was identified as 39-year-old Clearfield resident Arthur Fulsa Alu. Red says that Alu was shot by one of the 2 individuals in neon vests who intervened when they saw a person raise a gun and run toward the crowd. One of those men fired on that armed man, whom police called a suspect. These men in vests may have been part of the event's peacekeeping team, Red said. 39-year-old Clearfield resident Arthur Fulsa Alu. Red says that Alu was shot by one of the 2 individuals in neon vests who intervened when they saw a person raise a gun and run toward the crowd.
No fucking way. It was literally one of the peacekeepers that shot some random dude in response to this guy. Yeah, fuck, dude. Oh my god. Oh, yeah, this sucks. This sucks. Some random guy decides to be a fucking asshole, get in an altercation with one of the peacekeepers. And then when they consider him like a legitimate risk, he does the fucking cowardly move of running into the fucking dude. Runs into the crowd, gets somebody shot and killed.
That armed
Great
man,
fucking
whom police
stuff.
called a suspect. These men in vests may have been part of the event's peacekeeping team, Red said.
Dude. Imagine, dude. Imagine the guilt. Imagine the guilt. Untrained security tries to like, I want to know this guy's motivation too. I want to know if like, for whatever reason, he may have accidentally, or like he maybe he got like trigger happy, finally like, finally excited to utilize his guy. I want to know this guy's like psyche going into this. I want to know if we can hold both of these people accountable. One guy for having like an itchy trigger finger, and another guy for like, essentially causing an altercation like this.
Officers detained the vested men but did not arrest them. They are not in custody, said Red, adding that the shooter is cooperating with police. The chief said police did not fire any shots. He identified the suspect as 24-year-old Arturo Gamboa, whom the Salt Lake Tribune confirmed is being held in the Salt Lake County Jail. Officers found Gamboa within minutes of the shooting, hiding within a group of people, Red said. They found an assault-style rifle, a gas mask, and a backpack that, he added, police believe belonged to Gamboa. The chief said Gamboa did not fire a weapon.
Hit Alu as he fired 3 shots at Gamboa, who Red said was running into the crowd of protesters. The rifle drawn. So, Arturo Gamboa probably got into a scuffle or a sort of argument, maybe a standoff, with one of the peacekeepers. The rifle, and then at some point had his rifle drawn. So it's probably, based on the information that we're seeing here, it's likely that one of the peacekeepers assumed an immediate threat, tried to neutralize Gamboa, and then Gamboa, instead of like, actually getting into a firefight, which, why would you want to do that, ran into the crowd as a sort of protection. But now the question arises, did he do it on purpose? Did he do it on purpose to cause like a riot? Did he do it on purpose to get marchers shot? Did he do it on purpose to use them as a human shield and protect himself? Like, what were his intentions here? Or did he just panic and get scared? Curious. Very curious. Alu, who was also known as Afa Alu, was a well-known fashion designer who was once a contestant on Project Runway Dude. He was a self-taught designer who grew up in Samoa, according to previous Tribune reporting. He served a mission with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Salt Lake City, and moved back to Utah when he got married after attending Brigham Young University, Hawaii. He and his wife have 2 children, according to a GoFundMe that family friends set up on. Yeah, that fucking sucks. Organizers who planned Saturday's evening's protest did not respond to the Salt Lake Tribune's request for comment on Sunday. Yeah, why would you? It's in a situation like this seems to be incredibly daunting. Like a situation gone horribly fucking wrong. That's so upsetting. In a statement posted on Instagram Saturday, No Kings protest organizer with Utah 50501 called Alu an innocent, peaceful protester who came out to make his voice heard as he stood up for our rights when our most. The group is a part of the Grassroots Coalition, which plans to protest against the Trump administration like Saturday's aiming for at least 50 protests in all 50 states in one day. I see. That's why it's 50-51. I understand. The state or 50-51. Statement from Utah 50-51 added that organizers are grateful to the SLC first responders and our safety team at the event for their quick response to the shooting, for apprehending the suspect before he could injure more people, and for safety. Eunuch Epstein Ortiz, great name. A national spokesperson for the No Kings Coalition said in a statement that they were devastated and our hearts are with the family friends. Okay. We unequivocally condemn any act of violence. Yes. Typical. Leading into the evening, Red said officers prepared extensively. They were very prepared for Thursday's large protest and were even more prepared Saturday night. That police did not have any reason to suspect violence or threats at the demonstration and called the protest otherwise very peaceful. This, he said, came out of nowhere. I can actually believe that. I can actually believe that. About 2 hours before shots rang out, thousands gathered at Pioneer Pier for Utah capital city's iteration of the nationwide No Kings protest plan in opposition to Trump, his immigration enforcement, and use military force against protests in Los Angeles, as well as a military parade in Washington, D.C. to celebrate the U.S. Army 250th birthday, which coincided with Trump's 79th birthday. Oh, 151 South State Street, okay. 151 South State Street, police swarmed into a parking garage between 100 and 200 South on State Street. Police say they pursued one of the involved parties and took him into custody near 200 East and 100 South. Less than 24 hours after the protest ended, Red stood behind a podium at the downtown public safety building about a mile from the shooting scene and told Utahns that what happened was sudden and alarming and not representative of our values here in Salt Lake City or in our state. Our teams acted with courage and professionalism. The police haven't released any information outlining Gamboa's possible intentions on Saturday. What? Is there any update to this? Or is there any information? I want to know. I'm actually so intrigued now. As the march progressed from the park, the 2 men apparently on the event's peacekeeping team told officers they saw Gamboa move away from the main crowd to a secluded area behind a wall, according to a probable cause statement. They thought this was suspicious and watched him, eventually seeing Gamboa pull an assault-style rifle from his backpack. Okay, so here's where we get the details. Here's where we get the nitty-gritty of the details. As the march progressed from the park, the 2 men apparently on the event's peacekeeping team told officers they saw Gamboa move away from the main crowd to a secluded area behind a wall, according to a probable cause statement. They thought this was suspicious and watched him, eventually seeing Gamboa pull an assault-style rifle from his backpack. They called out for Gamboa to drop his rifle as they pulled their own handguns. Then, officers wrote, Gamboa lifted the rifle into firing position and ran into the crowd. I would like to have video footage of this. One member of the peacekeeping team fired 3 times, fatally injuring Alu and striking. Okay, so I mean, what are the laws? What are the laws in open carry? Did this guy have? Was this guy permitted? What would the laws in Utah be for open carry? Now I gotta search that out to like see if this guy was actually intending threats. Fuck, dude, this is gonna be a really difficult case. Now, did this guy have a permit? In Utah, it is generally legal to open carry a rifle. Okay, so as of 2021, this guy had legally could have been open carrying this rifle. So there's also the possibility that this police officer, or that this peacekeeping team member panicked when Gamboa got his rifle and ran into the crowd and then started like firing off of him without actually, assessing if there was an immediate threat or not. Although, again, in a situation like that, panic instance would be completely understandable, especially if you're not well trained or if you're not like used to situations like these. But if it is possible that this was a state of panic, then he just shot somebody. Like fuck, dude. Then this peacekeeper guy shot somebody for no reason. One member of the peacekeeping team fired 3 times. 3 times, too. Video of the arrest posted to social media shows pressers in that area kneeling as a demonstrator Samurai says, "This is a rifle right here." Picks up a black backpack and moves it away from Gamboa. "I just grabbed this from that guy," Hernandez yells as officers approach with their guns drawn. "He's right there." Police move towards Gamboa, shouting, "Get on the ground." Gamboa, who was kneeling with his hands raised, lowered into his stomach, and officers cuffed his hands behind his back. Gamboa did not fire a weapon Saturday, Red said, and neither did officers. So it was only like just the security team that they had. A review of court records shows Gamboa had 2 speeding tickets in 2023, but otherwise has never been charged with a crime in Utah. Charging decision ultimately rests with Salt Lake County prosecutors. Gamboa had not been formally charged as of Sunday afternoon and being held in jail without bail. Red said Sunday that detectives were working closely with the district attorney's office to ensure that through a review of all the facts, he offered his condolences to the family of the man killed and all others impacted. No one, Red said, should fear coming to demonstration. Okay, so based on the information given, at least by this report, it is entirely possible that the peacekeeping team, one of the security guards, definitely got afraid, panicked in the moment because they saw somebody pull up a gun in what they presumed to be a ready to fire position, gas mask, and then just decided to shoot. But did Gamboa actually instigate a potential firefight? It doesn't seem to be the case. Was this guy permitted to be open carrying, particularly a rifle? It appears so, at least legally, if he had a permit. So it's entirely possible that this Gamboa guy was planning something malicious. Who knows, without knowing intent, without like interviewing him and finding out if his story lines up. It doesn't seem like he has a criminal history. It's also entirely possible that because of negligence, one of the peacekeeper people panicked, shot this guy, and accidentally killed Alu in an attempt to neutralize this guy, even though he potentially wasn't a threat. Now I need to figure out more about this guy. Downtown shooting investigation. Today, the Salt Lake City Police Department is providing additional details about the June 14th, 2025 shooting that occurred during the No Kings demonstration and march in downtown Salt Lake City. Our thoughts are with the family and friends of the 39-year-old man who was killed. The man, group of people with a gunshot wound. The man is identified as 25-year-old Arturo Gamboa, who was dressed in all black clothing and wearing a black mask. As officers approached, community members pointed out a nearby firearm, which was described as an AR-15 style rifle. Officers also located a gas mask, black clothing, and a backpack in close proximity. The items were collected and processed by LCP Crime Lab. Paramedics took Gamboa to the hospital. Detectives later booked Gamboa into the Salt Lake County Metro Jail on a charge of murder. Yeah, because they believe him to be the instigator that caused this, rather than the shooter. I want to know what their reasoning is. I would really like to know, because I might be completely misinterpreting the situation here. Officers also detained 2 men who were wearing high visibility neon green vests and carrying handguns. These men were apparently part of the event's peacekeeping team. During interviews, detectives learned the 2 peacekeepers saw Gamboa move away from the crowd and move into a secluded area behind a wall they found suspicious. Behavior that they found suspicious. One of the peacekeepers told detectives he saw Gamboa pull out an AR-15 style rifle from a backpack and begin manipulating it. Peacekeepers drew their firearms and ordered Gamboa to drop the weapon. Okay, here we go. We got more information here. Witnesses reported Gamboa instead lifted the rifle and began running toward the crowd gathered on State Street, holding the weapon in a firing position. In response, one of the peacekeepers fired 3 rounds. One round struck Gamboa, while another tragically wounded Mr. Alu. Detectives have not been able to determine at this time why Gamboa pulled out the rifle and began to manipulate it, or why he ran from the peacekeepers that confronted him. The peacekeepers immediately attempted to provide aid to the bystander. Detectives are still actively investigating this case to include the actions of the peacekeepers. Detectives have developed probable cause that Gamboa acted under circumstances that showed a depraved indifference to life. Yeah, I could agree to this. Knowingly engaged in conduct that created a grave risk of death and ultimately caused the death of an innocent community member. Yeah, I think that this is a more likely situation based on the information available. Interesting. Okay, I believe that's every update that there is to this. This was June 15th. This was yesterday. So, pretty fresh on the table. And I guess that's it for this segment.